Hi, hello. Mark making with watercolour. So, there are all these fancy brushes out there, but you can do quite a lot with one simple round brush. So this is a size 10. I'm going to be using a slightly smaller one as well. So I'm just doing a block of colour. I'm using black. I very rarely, if ever, use black, but it's quite useful for exercises like this. Um, Here I'm doing a little bit of a wash, and then I'm almost going to paint with some water right up close, and the paint then bleeds into this water, and this is called softening the edge, or getting, you can get like a grade with this as well. But we're just playing with the paint today, and you can see how you can move it around and smudge it a little bit. And here I'm wetting the paper, and then into this I'm just going to do a few dots of the paint and then a few lines as well, and where we stop the paint, that's where the drop will be, the main sort of like a full stop almost. We'll wet a little bit more and experiment dropping in, so we've got a bit of paint on the tip of our brush and we're dropping it in and it spreads out. It's quite a nice effect to use. It's quite therapeutic actually, this one. Okay. So most of what I'm doing on these, I'm going to be wetting the paper first. And here I'm leaving a white space in the centre of this square where there isn't any water. So when I add the paint, it will only go where there is water. And I can emphasise and make that circle pop by adding more paint around it. So remembering that where you put the water, that is where the paint will go, we can connect some of these shapes together. We'll do that in a little bit. And it doesn't matter what shape you do. It could be that you're doing a squiggle, and then if you add the paint into this squiggle, it's going to stay there. So it's a useful one to remember. And then just to prove the point, I'm doing like a little connection between one shape and the other. And because I'm tipping this up at quite an angle, the drip is coming from this other piece down to that bottom shape. So the more water you put on, the wetter it is. When you put the colour in, you want to be quite strong with that colour, because if you think about it, it's diluted already. So I love this effect. It just kind of blurs and smudges out. It's beautiful. You can use this with ink as well, and the same again. And you're just letting that colour, that paint, flow into the water. You can obviously work on those. So these are tighter, getting more detailed. And the reason for doing this is just to show using a slightly smaller brush, but still a round brush. I'm tilting the brush so it's quite upright, and when you'll feel it in a different part of your hand, I'm using my little finger to support what I'm doing, and I'm just doing some, trying to be straight, some little strokes from top to bottom with quite a vertical hold of the brush, and then, let's say, supporting with my finger. And now I'm doing where using the brush is quite vertical, but then you're varying the pressure on it and then doing a little twist at the same time. And then it's like a little S shape repeated, but I'm squishing down on the brush. Now this one's really useful for leaves. So again, the point of the brush, push right the way down so it's almost the metal bit is dragging down the paper, and then you pull it back up to the point. So the point, push all the way down, the brush will kind of splay apart a little bit. Top, push all the way down, and then lift the brush up again. So part of this that you'll see is then giving you dry brushwork, but you can do it going horizontally as well. So this would be great if you were doing perhaps sea, or maybe it was a good way to do foliage, and then you can build up on it. So the purpose of this is just to show you that you can do so much with just a round brush. For me personally, I would just prefer to have two decent brushes like this, and you can do loads.